In 2023, I spent over $16,000 on my American Express Cobalt. To give you some background on what kinds of American Express cards I've been using since 2014 and up until 2023, I was subscribed to the American Express Gold, which has an annual fee. I believe it's waived during the first year, but I used that for the first 9 years as an American Express customer. But to be honest, I didn't track my spending as much. So one of the things that I wasn't sure about is whether the annual fee was worth the benefits of the card. I haven't been tracking my credit card spending as closely as I perhaps should. And one of the things that I learned this past year, I guess, is that I thought that everyone was using pre-authorized payments with credit cards, but I was actually surprised to learn that several of my friends are manually paying for their credit card, and I guess the benefit of that is that they go through their monthly expenses to see if everything that they spent actually matches up with what they believe they spent. And I believe there's pros and cons to both methods. So with pre-authorized payment, you don't really need to think about making those payments on time, as long as you have enough money coming out of your checking account or whatever source the payment is coming from. Now the downside is that with pre-authorized payments, especially in my case, I don't have a huge grasp on exactly where my money is going, which categories I'm spending my money. And so in this video, I will go through my 2023 spending, all the categories, see if there's any surprises with how I've spent my money. But again, this is something that I've been wanting to do for the past, several years. I just haven't done it. So let's begin. Now, I also wanted to point out that with my American Express Gold, after 9 years of using it, including any of my welcome bonuses, I really only amassed close to $900 worth of points, which I used for booking a vacation in 2023. But when you do the math, again, I've had it for 9 years. The first year was waived, and the first, I believe, 7 years, it was at $150 of an annual fee. In 2022, I believe, American Express raised their gold fee from $150 to $250, and that's another one of the reasons why I had intended to switch in 2022, but I, missed the deadline, ended up renewing for another year, but finally canceled that gold card, moved on to Cobalt. One of the downsides is that you cannot transfer your membership rewards from one card to another, so that's one of the reasons why I decided to consume all of my points when I switched to Cobalt.
So now I'm going to go through the $16,000 spent annually and break it down into the categories that I spent my money. Now, if you're not familiar with the American Express Cobalt, one of the main reasons people subscribe to it is because of the bonus categories the bonus points for certain categories. So as an example, on food, that includes groceries, eating out, restaurants, drinks, you get 5 times the points. For subscriptions, you get 3 times the points, and then for transportation, you get 2 times the points. So there's some other ways that you can get bonus points. I'll put them on the screen as well, but those are my primary categories. So again, food-related things ×5, subscriptions ×3, and then transportation ×2. All other spending categories that are not in these lists are just 1 times the points.
One more thing I want to mention is that sometimes you really do have to be intentional about your personal finances. And what I wanted to say is that I've been intending to change evaluate my credit card spending and the type of credit card products that I use for many years now. But the fact that it's on autopilot means that I've put less focus on exactly which cards I wanted to switch over in each year. It kind of just, keeps renewing each year. That was a big reason as to why, 10 years later, I still don't know what my category breakdowns are. And so I'd like to break that cycle starting fresh with 2024.
So the total that I spent on groceries and food for 2023 was $4,761. Now, the reason I wanted to break it down between food and then groceries is because I wanted to monitor how often I'm using services like Uber Eats and how often I'm going to restaurants for eating. Also, I wanted to point out that for the groceries, it's a bit trickier here in Canada to use American Express at the grocery store. I've noticed that there's not so many places that accept them. That's one of the reasons why such a low number here. So for food and drinks, I have a grand total of $4,014. So in the coffee category, I spent $340.31 over the year. For food and drinks, so restaurants, fast food, that kind of thing, $2,329.85. And for Uber Eats, I spent $1,344.76. Wow. Now, for groceries, I spent $746.67. Next, we have phone and subscriptions, $1,975. I do want to point out that not all of the charges here were actually 3 times the points. So that's another thing that I wanted to clarify, that it's not a perfect system. There are certain items that I noticed when doing the analysis on my 2023 spending where certain categories were not allocated to the correct points amount. But I did do a little bit of online research. I saw that you can contact American Express to have that corrected. I haven't tried that myself, but what I do want to point out is that it's not exactly perfect. And in some ways, it's actually more beneficial to me, where I even noticed that there were some, very rarely, some categories that were not eligible for bonus points, where I happened to somehow get bonus points for them. Okay, next is subscriptions, and I included my phone in here. Anything that has kind of a recurring charge, I considered a subscription. Technically, I believe the language that's used in American Express is streaming services, and that's one of the reasons why something like my phone bill is not eligible for the 3 times the points. So as an example, some of the ways that I did get points in this category were TV subscriptions. Like I have Amazon, I have an Amazon channel. One thing that I was happy to see is that my Apple Care somehow counted as a streaming service. I'm guessing because of the the only reference to that in my credit card bill is apple.com, and maybe that's just considered a streaming service. I'm not complaining against that. Included in these subscription fees as well is the monthly fee for Amex Cobalt. You do not get points for that, unfortunately, but it is $12.99 per month. I'm not sure if I mentioned that yet. And then Netflix, PlayStation Network. I'm not sure if I got points for that. I don't think I did get points for that. That's not a streaming service. And then my other subscriptions are Uber Pass. I have a VPN subscription as well. And that's pretty much it. Lastly, for transportation, I spent $3,678 over the year. And now I do want to mention that I don't own a car and I don't pay for insurance or gas, so my primary reasons for getting around is public transport and Uber. So the breakdown is as follows. So for Presto, which is the public transit system used for Go and TTC in Toronto, $1,938.46. Now for Uber trips specifically, I spent $1,555. For other miscellaneous transportation, I spent $70. That includes bike sharing, Toronto Ferry, and lastly $155 for Grab, which is the Uber and Lyft equivalent in some countries. And I guess I was traveling in Southeast Asia. That's where those charges came from. My last 2 categories complete the remainder of the $16,800 that I spent in 2023. The first category is fun, and there I spent $5,772. The breakdown I'm putting on the screen right now, but it is what is this entertainment? $100 in entertainment. That includes going to the movies, going to shows. For gadgets, I did make a purchase last year, which was the iPhone 15 Pro Max, which I'm actually filming this video on. That was $1,976 after tax. I spent $28 for garden, $530 on hotels, $400 on Shoppers Drug Mart, which is a category in and of itself. For shopping, I spent $2,138. That includes any gift giving. I like board games, so some of my expenses came from that. I'm also seeing a bunch of Amazon shopping, Best Buy, Dollarama, Lululemon. So any kind of clothing and just general shopping. $2,100, which I don't think is terrible. But again, that includes many different categories. Next item is travel activities, where I spent $338. I have a category here. It looks like it's an unknown category, but $102 that I wasn't able to identify based on the description in my credit card statement. And then lastly, my miscellaneous. I don't know why I have an unknown and miscellaneous category, but miscellaneous, I have a fee that I paid for a 5K marathon that I did last year. Marathon, 5K run. And then this last one, to be honest, I don't know what this is for. Maybe it was like a trip to the spa. And then lastly, I have a category for health and beauty, which I spent $662.67. So in beauty, I have haircuts. I spent $222.67. Overall, in last year, I know I spent more than that. It's just a matter of which vendors did accept American Express. This particular barber did, and that's why those charges are there. And then I spent $440 on health, all of which belongs to dental. Now, I do get reimbursed because I have some work benefits, but I did include it. I did spend it on American Express this year, and so that's part of my annual total.
Next, I want to show a full category breakdown on where my money went for the full year. So for the 5 times category spent, again, food and groceries, I spent $4,379. That represented 26% of my overall annual spend. And it also represents 55% of the overall points that I gained in 2023. For the 3 times the points category, I spent $536, which represents only 3% of my total spendings, and then 4% of the total points that I earned. So nothing too major there. For the 2 times points category, so again, this is for me, transportation, $4,328, which represents 25% of my spending, and then I yielded 22% of points there. And then lastly, the 1 times category, which is for everything else, I spent $7,600, which is 45% of my overall spend, which yielded only 18% of my points. So I guess I can use this to evaluate if I'm using my card in the correct way. I'll have to spend some time looking at this because I'm not really sure what to think of this. I guess one of the things I'm happy about is that the majority of my points did come from the food category, and I only spent, only 25% of the actual amount I spent last year went to food, and over half my points came from that. So, but overall, I'm not sure if I'm just rationalizing spending more money on food just to get these bonus points. So that's something that I'll have to decide if I want to make any changes to my food and drinks and eating out budget for this year, or if I'm really happy with the way it's going now. I've seen lots of videos of many personal finance creators trying to cut back on their expenses. Stefan Den is an example of one Toronto YouTuber couple. I really like their videos, but one of the things, I think I spent around the same amount as Steph from that channel in 2023. This year she wants to do a no spend challenge for Uber Eats and any kind of food delivery subscription and service. So very curious to see how that turns out for her. But for me, I still find value in eating it. I know that I'm paying a premium. I'm paying extra for, delivery fees and on, a premium on the actual food itself, but um, it's something that I'm not ready to sacrifice quite yet. But again, it's kind of under review right now. I'll still, now that I have kind of an understanding of where and how much I'm spending. I guess the next step is to decide if I want to cut back, or if I'm gonna do the same for this year. So overall for 2023, I spent $16,800, and I gained 39,362 American Express points. I also earned 30,000 bonus points as a new member. So these came in the form of 2,500 bonus points each month. I believe I had to reach a certain spending threshold each month. I think it was something like $500 each month to be able to get that bonus amount. So in total, 69,000 points for 2023. So even if I didn't get the bonus points, my grand total based on just my spending alone was 39,000 points. Now there is a way to spend um, points directly on your credit card statement, and the amount that you get off is um, 1,000 points equals $10. So in this example, this would be worth $393 worth of, I guess, a discount on my credit card statements. And again, you'd really have to compare that against the membership fee you'd be paying, which is $12.99 per month. Overall, in the year, it's $158 a year. So it seems that I'm getting a still a pretty good offset on that annual fee. So about $400 worth of points in exchange for $158 of annual fee. So again, um, to me, it's worth it. One of the things I like as well about Cobalt is that it is a monthly subscription, so it's not an annual fee, similar to other cards such as Platinum and Gold. So you can cancel anytime. And I continue to use this card month to month until I either find another solution or realize that I don't want to be paying this monthly subscription fee anymore. Now, one of the things I wanted to point out is that it's not like I earned $690 this year. It's more that I spent almost $17,000 to get an offset of 700-ish dollars, and that includes the bonus points as well. So even um, if I didn't have those bonus points, I would have spent $16,800 to get a $393 discount. But yeah, keep in mind that that 16,000 number also includes all of the annual fees, sorry, monthly fees that I paid.